We're talking about Donald Trump. Are you glad to see him making his comeback? 0207 862 2222 is the number. So it's the big inauguration ceremony today. By all accounts, he plans to hit the ground running for his second term in office. Trump has made a number of commitments on domestic and foreign policy, as well as pledging to undo a lot of Biden's work from his time in office. He spoke at a victory rally in Washington last night.
The curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline, and we begin a brand new day of American strength and prosperity, dignity and pride. You're going to see executive orders that are going to make you extremely happy. Lots of them. Lots of them.
So are you celebrating Trump's return? You think, yeah, let's get the show underway? Or maybe you're commiserating on behalf of Americans. We'd love to hear from you on this. Let's talk a bit more about what kinds of things he'll focus on, because obviously he's now got a real run into this. He's done it before. He knows he needs to act quickly. What's he going to do? One thing, first thing, pardons. He might pardon the January the 6th rioters from 2020. He might go in on Ukraine heavily with Putin and say, look, you're going to have to make peace here. You can have a bit of it, but stop the war. Immigration, that's his promise to the American people. He's going to stop illegal immigration. Easier said than done. UK-US relations are interesting because he apparently doesn't like Labour. He doesn't like Starmer. He doesn't like Peter Mandelson. What's he going to do with us? We're going to have a special relationship still. He is part Scottish, remember? You've then got trade. Now, tariffs is another word for it. He says he thinks tariffs is a beautiful word. 60% tax on Chinese goods would be a serious tariff, 25% on Mexico and Canada. He says Canada should actually join the USA and then they wouldn't have to pay it. And then one more for you, which is woke. Just come this side. So woke is, we talk about it all the time. He's promised a war on woke. He says he'll ban transgender women from playing women's sports, and he'll try to ban gender-affirming care for minors. And by the way, also his defense secretary has raised a big question mark about whether women should be in the army at all. So that's just for starters, right? There's an awful lot there, isn't there? Ben, an awful lot.
An awful lot. It's going to be an interesting 4 years, to put it mildly. But I mean, the fascinating to see what start he makes. I think we'll get a pretty good indication by the end of today about what his priorities are on the things you just talked about. But Jeremy, I've got to say, I think it's a dark day. I think it's a dark day for the world. I think it's a dark day for American democracy, which is going to be significantly weaker in even a few months' time under this man's leadership than it is today. This is a guy who is a convicted felon, who was found in a civil trial to have sexually assaulted a woman, who boasted on tape about grabbing women by the genitals, who only ran for a second term, a lot of people say, to stop him being imprisoned, who lost the last election fair and square, and then whipped up all sorts of conspiracies that he won it. This is not a man fit for any position of leadership, let alone the main position of leadership in the free world.
Oh, in the world, yeah. Lynn, what do you think?
No, I massively disagree. When it comes to him being a felon, they absolutely created this witch hunt against him.
That?
It was supposed to be a misdemeanor. If you look at the legalities around the trial, around the conviction.
This is the Stormy Daniels case, right?
Yeah,
Is
it was supposed to be a misdemeanor. I think
meaning a lower level crime, not a
lower level crime.
Yeah.
Any other person, it would have been. And they changed it last minute so he could reach the bar for him to be convicted as a felon. If that's not a witch hunt, what is?
But what about the civil case where he found guilty of sexually assaulting a woman who he has to pay tens of millions of dollars to?
Look, at the end of the day, I don't think that is a positive at all, and I think that is abhorrent. However, my thing is this. We're looking at a leader who is showing strength. We're looking at a leader who wants to put Americans first. We're looking at a leader who actually listens to the people in terms of immigration, in terms of gender politics, in terms of business. And when we're looking also at the rest of the world, places like Russia, places like China, people seem to actually take notice and listen to him because of that strength.
It's possible. We just ended the last section by saying we would ask whether it was Trump or Biden who got to the ceasefire in the Middle East. There's an argument that it's Trump because they just want to get ahead of him.
Yes, there's an argument that on this, he has forced a peace settlement. At what cost? He might force a peace settlement in Ukraine. At what cost? There are concerns about what he said to Netanyahu in terms of what he will allow Netanyahu to do in the months to come in exchange for this ceasefire that Netanyahu himself says is only temporary. Yes, he might bring peace to Ukraine. by insisting that Putin is handed vast swathes of Ukrainian territory. He might reward Russia for its invasion. At what cost? Peace at any cost is not a good thing. If that emboldens Putin, if that emboldens Netanyahu, if it emboldens right-wing, far-right strongmen across the world, peace comes at a major cost.
OK, there's been some chatter about the fact that Keir Starmer isn't attending the inauguration, and yet the former Home Secretary Suella Braverman was filmed stepping off a plane in Washington, oddly enough, alongside Lawrence Fox.
Did Mr. Trump invite you here? Why is it important for you to be here?
Listen, I've got the Make America Great hat again. Listen, it's an honour to be here, and I'm very grateful for the invitation for the inauguration.
You got a direct invitation from Mr. Trump.
And I'm very much forward to attending the rally tomorrow. But
and you're here with Lawrence Fox as well?
We happen to be on the
Did
same
you travel
flights.
together?
So yeah, Lawrence Fox leads the Reclaim Party, is it?
Oh, who knows? He's
But former actor.
not the nicest of people.
Well, Suella sounded as if she hasn't been invited. She just turned up.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a
She
teenager
avoided
and you
that.
don't get invited to the party, so you go and hang around outside and hope that someone lets you in. You've got this motley crew of sort of British nobodies, Liz Truss, Suella Braverman, Lawrence Fox, turning up in Washington, D.C.,
Yeah, Truss, we got
desperately
a Truss
hoping
picture,
someone
actually.
might invite them into the party. It's pathetic.
It is embarrassing.
Why is
It's
Truss
just tragic.
Truss is wearing someone else's coat, I think. But there we are. But she's been there for a few days because...
Why?
I don't
Why is she there?
know.
She's doing these random podcasts, like these fringe podcasts as well. I don't really dislike Liz Truss. I liked her
don't
politics,
dislike
but
her, but
Suella Braverman, she's really trying to hold on to any form of notoriety she can by doing anything.
It may be cleverer than we think, because bear in mind the big threat to the Tories is from Farage's Reform Party,
which her husband's in.
For a second, Reform went higher than Labour last week in a poll for the first time. Yeah. So it's possible Braverman thinks, look, we're going to need to bridge over to them because otherwise they're going to get decimated. Farage wrote, "We are so back" on his social media. There he is. Kwame's in London. Hi, Kwame.
Hello.
Are you looking forward to the next 4 years?
Not really. I think the man is dangerous. I mean, and it's a damning indictment on the electorate that the electorate can elect someone so intellectually backward. I mean, this is a man who trades in bombast, bluster, and bull excrement, right? This is someone who thought you could cure COVID by bleach. The fact that this man has achieved a high office is really a damning indictment.
We've sort of heard all the stories. Apparently, he didn't know what Brexit was. There
you go.
Yeah, he wouldn't read any briefing documents unless he saw his own name in them. So the CIA had to put his name in capital letters. If they're briefing him on Malawi, it would have to say Trump all the way through. Yeah. But the thing is, it's a show, Kwame, now, isn't it? It's a TV show, this presidency.
Yeah, it's a clown show.
Well, if he can listen, if he's behind the release of these hostages, that's not a clown show.
Well, that's in spite of him, not because of him. You know, what did he do to release those hostages?
Well, I think the only thing I can suggest is that he said if they don't release them, all hell will break loose when I'm in the White House. So the theory is Hamas thought, let's get these hostages back as fast as we can.
That's the operative word, theory. It's not fact, it's theory, right? And moving on beyond that, going back to his domestic policy, right? The man's a demagogue, and demagoguery is dangerous. He's very...
Kwame, thank you so much. We've got to take our break, but thank you so much. You started us off brilliantly there, because that's the case against. We'll take more calls. Some people saying they're glad to see him back. Okay, we're talking about Donald Trump. Are there clues to his second term from his first? Let's have a look. Seeing as he's a golfer, let's talk about the mistakes here. 10 times he shanked it, okay? Shanking means hitting the ball with the wrong part of the club. So we're looking here essentially at mishits in his first presidency, because they may give us clues as to what's coming. Let's just put some text on the balls here and go through them. The wall, Ukraine scandal. I'll come back to these and describe them. Charlottesville, international agreements. Stormy Daniels, of course, as well. Many gaffes. Where do we start there? Constant sackings. You've then got China and election interference and response. Let's see. Oh, yes, and COVID as well. So all of those different things. Times he shanked it, right? So let's look at some in detail. Let's just explain Ukraine scandal first of all. So Ukraine scandal happened because Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, went to Ukraine allegedly to peddle influence. And the question was, did Hunter take influence cash? And Trump then got in touch with Ukraine and tried to get them to investigate Biden and Joe together. Okay, so that was the issue, and he was impeached for that. So he basically wanted to get Joe Biden in trouble for Hunter's actions. Then the gaffes, right? So many, but let's just choose this one here. They discussed immigration he was president in an international summit, and he asked why America would want immigrants from all these, he didn't use the words sinkhole, but let's say sinkhole countries, like these African nations. We should have more people coming in from Norway, he said. Shout out to Maddie on camera 4, who's from Norway. International agreements, another one here. So big climate change agreement internationally. He got a lot of criticism. You may say this isn't a misstep. He withdrew the USA from the Paris Agreement on climate change. Constant sackings were a feature last time as well. This is Anthony Scaramucci. We had him in one day in the studio. Do you remember? He was only in for 10 days. Here he is with the famous cowboy posture. That's Reince Priebus. But if you sack people as often as Trump does, you do create instability in your inner team because everyone expects to be gone. Charlottesville, the race riots started with neo-Nazis. It was all over a statue of a Confederate leader. The left came in. Trump said there are good people on both sides. Biden then said, that's so appalling, I'm going to run again for a second term. So people found that very, very difficult to stomach. I'll mention the wall. He said he was going to build 1,000 miles of new wall. He built 452, but most weren't new. Only 49 miles of wall was new. There's a bit of it there. So there's all that. And of course, the big one, which probably brought him down, was COVID, not least because he made this crazy comment, which Ben referred to earlier. I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? You know, so he was recommending disinfectant. As a result, the poison control people in New York City saw an uptick in people drinking disinfectant because they thought it might cure COVID. Anyway, those were all the shanks, the times he shanked it. But of course, he can say, so what, I won, can't he? Can't he, Ben? That's the answer to all of it.
He did. He won decisively. It doesn't mean he's going to do a good job. Didn't do a particularly good job last time, as you touched on there. All sorts of reasons. I mean, Lynn, I don't know, you look at that and look at his track record.
The thing is that we've discussed here are not things that your everyday person that wakes up in the morning and goes to work actually cares about. They care about food on the table, lower taxes. When he was president previously, there was 7 million more jobs because he brought industry back into America. Middle-class families saw an increase in their takings. Unemployment was at record low for half a century. These are the things, and this is what politics gets wrong all the time. And this is why people in Britain are feeling unheard, because we're talking about these topics here that doesn't affect the everyday person. But what affects the everyday person is if my children has to experience, if they're girls, boys in their toilets, if my taxes are extremely high, if I'm not making money, if there's not jobs availability.
But this is all under the heading, because we're so familiar with this cost of living. And we don't, funnily enough, we don't, in the UK, when we think about Trump, we don't think 90% of what he's got to do is reduce the cost of living. We didn't even put it on our boards there, because you could just put cost of living in there. Because, I mean, that in the end, that's how they're going to judge him, Ben.
Yeah, they will. But Biden got unlucky. He had a war in Ukraine. Cost of living went up.
What do you mean he got unlucky? He's a part of the war. Putin said countless times, remove yourself from my border. If this was American borders, like the Cuban Missile Crisis,
Trump wouldn't have done that.
We wouldn't have allowed it.
And you think Trump would have removed...
I'm saying he wouldn't have allowed it to go on in the way that it has.
Okay, let's go to John in Doncaster. Hi, John. What do you think? Are you looking forward to it the next 4 years? Hi, John.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you all right?
Yeah. How are you? Did we take a bit of your time there?
Yeah. Well, The thing I think with Trump is, I think Trump is a great man. I think he really is on to do bigger and better things than Biden. Biden, he was on about running for office. Biden can't run to end of his estate at this rate.
Well,
Biden is really,
in fairness,
really struggling.
Biden, yeah, that's true. We saw a clip of him earlier, and he can barely get a sentence out. But it's his last day in office, so that's all history now, isn't it?
We're on to bigger and better things with Trump. At the end of the day, some of his ways, I think, Trump, come on now. But I do think he's a very reliable man who's going to take that country to greatness at the end of the day.
But I showed you that graphic on the times he'd shanked it. So the mistakes, you may say they're not mistakes, and maybe it's just a sort of colourful thing, but there's a hell of a lot there, John.
I do agree that there is a hell of a lot of mistakes, but where it is accomplishments and credits on the TV, this is what we need to be seeing. He has made mass amounts of improvements for that country.
Okay.
The amount of people that need Trump to get back in and sort out what needs to be sorted out. Like the girl said on the TV, sorry, love, I don't know your name, but why should men be walking into women's toilets and women into men's toilets? It's not on. Yeah, I don't want my children doing that.
That may well be true, but that can't be in the top 10 problems faced by Americans today. I wouldn't have thought.
Finances, business.
Thank you, John. Pat in Birmingham, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Do you agree with John that there's a lot to be looking forward to here?
No. I love the first caller.
Oh yeah, the Kwame.
Yeah.
So what? So because for people who just joined us, Kwame basically said he's a demagogue.
Oh God, I go with him.
Right. Oh, you're looking forward to it?
Listen to. No. Listen what I'm saying, Jeremy. If Biden had gotten out of the race from earlier, this wouldn't have happened, because what I realized, Trump can only beat a woman.
Oh.
He won twice, and he won twice because he ran against two women.
All right, yeah, I mean, he lost big to Biden. It's
not saying much about us women, is it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, because you know what? Excuse me. You know what happened? Because America, I don't think America is ready for a woman president. I don't think so.
Well, I think Kamala had certain problems, maybe, but it seems like Biden was selfish, Ben.
Yeah.
He should have, and his wife was selfish, because she said, come on, you can do this.
Yep.
And he said, I'm the only one who could beat Trump.
Yeah, arrogant, naive, ridiculous. Joe Biden's legacy is going to be paving the way for Donald Trump. That is almost the entirety of Joe Biden's. That is what he will go down in history as.
Yeah. Well, it was that debate, wasn't it?
Huge mistake. If he'd stepped down earlier, either you get a different candidate, or Kamala Harris has more time to establish herself. She's given us sort of hospital pass.
Yes, she was. She was. It's unfair. And also, there may be.
She had long enough to get her.
You think so?
4 months.
She was
Come on.
No, I'm talking about before then. If you're vice president for as long as you were, we hardly, from that phone call where she was calling Biden, we've done it. After that, we hardly saw her.
Because of Biden.
You had time to be able to...
They kept her in the shadows because it was all Biden.
I agree. I think, and he gave her a horrible job, which was the border, which backfired badly. Thank you, Pat. Brenda in Wiltshire, are you looking forward to the next 4 years?
Yes, I am. I'm all for Trump, basically, because he will put his country first. It's a pity our people in power don't put our country first. So, yes, I'm glad Trump has won. Biden can hardly talk. We need a man that will do what he says.
All right, Brenda, thank you. The problem's on the line, but we got it. You want a man who's going to do what he says. Thank you, Brenda. Later we'll be asking if you can ever be too... Welcome back. We're talking about Donald Trump. Are you happy to have him back? It's ours now, right? Bill in Gloucestershire. Love to know what you think, Bill.
Good morning to you. Long time no talk.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say I'm very grateful that you're giving me this opportunity to say what nobody else is saying.
Oh, God.
Well, so far, okay, yeah. It's really this, that we have a repeat of history. And I just want to remind everybody about 1930s Germany. It was in 1930s Germany that von Hindenburg died. And as a result of that, Adolf Hitler came to power, became the Chancellor Supreme. And I know the comparison seems daft, but there are plenty of people out there, including
it does seem a bit daft.
Scaramucci, who say all this.
Yeah, when Trump was in power the first time, which countries did he invade?
To invade, because the one overriding difference is the Constitution in the United States that actually has prevented him from doing all of this. And what I truly believe is at this time, because he's got both houses of Congress, to a point where he will be able to have not just this next 4 years in power, but he will stay on and have a further 4 years, and it will continue down that road.
Well, that's not as crazy as saying he's Hitler. I mean, Ben, I wonder whether you might see him trying to pass it to his son, for example. That's not impossible.
He's not Hitler, but there are parallels. There are parallels in the sense of tearing up democracy. Donald Trump's very open. This is a revenge mission. He wants to fire people that have disagreed with him. He wants to rewrite the Constitution.
He said that.
He demonises... he says that openly. He joked about a third term. He demonises minority groups. He spread lies about migrants from Haiti eating cats and dogs that were completely untrue and led to safety threats against them. This man is a threat to democracy. He has fascist tendencies.
But why has he had the highest vote in minority groups? When it comes to the
far-right leaders.
Lynn.
Okay, if that's the case, why has he had overwhelming, increase of voters from minority groups? Why is he feeling empowered? When it came to Biden even meeting community leaders in the black community, Biden didn't go and do it. He went to do it. He went to the black churches. He went to certain areas that no one would want to go to. So this whole idea that he's not for ethnic minorities feel...
Who's he mean? Who's that?
Certain groups.
Can we see a bit of the YMCA and the village people? Because the comparisons with Hitler get difficult when we watch this kind of scene.
Come on, everybody! It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for your
The weirdness about this is that the motorbiker is the guy who wrote the song and has recently taken action against people who've said it's a gay anthem, because he says it was never intended to be that at all. Sidebar. Thank you, Bill, for your call. We were asking whether it's going to be a painful 4 years. The one thing, when you say fascist, Ben, the one thing about him that I think is quite telling is, OK, he clearly wanted to upend the 2020 election result, there's no question, and that was a very anti-democratic thing to do. However, Trump then said to himself, all right, the only way to get to the White House is by standing for election again. So he properly went the Democratic route, didn't he? No question about that. Went through all the primaries, went through all of that, had an assassination attempt, got to the election, won it, fair and square. So we're not doubting that he's a Democrat, are we?
To be fair, his supporters tried an armed insurrection on Capitol Hill. It failed. A lot of them went to prison, and now he's going to pardon, we read.
Well, if he pardons them, that will be shocking, Lynn, won't it?
Yeah, I don't think, if they have been found, obviously, which they have been, to be criminals, I don't think that they should be pardoned, because I don't agree with rioting.
So on day one, if he pardons them, you'll say suddenly, Trump completely misunderstood the guy.
Well, this is the thing. I may have a support for Trump with things that he wants to do and things that he says. That doesn't mean I support every single thing. Do you?
It does. The whole point is you support Trump as the person.
No, because, Jeremy, there must be people that you admire or you think that may be a good politician. Does that now mean you're going to agree with every single thing they do and say?
With him, with certain politicians, Thatcher's another one, the person is the policies. There is no way of saying, I like the policies, I don't like her. It doesn't work like that. You got to buy the whole chicken.
Can you truly say that you know the politician? I've never sat in his house. I don't know him. But for the policies he said,
we have media now.
I really like the things that he says with regards to certain policies.
Do you think he's fit to be the most powerful man in the entire world?
I actually do, because the way that we're heading right now, the rise of Iran, the rise of China, the rise of Russia, if you believe in that in terms of geopolitically, we need someone at the helm that is not afraid.
Also, remember, when you say do you think he's fit, you are making a comparison with Biden, who is not in any state to run a bar.
Who else has gone to North Korea?
That wasn't the choice. It was Kamala Harris.
No, but my point is, I can't see any. I'm not going to say he's the best thing. If there was somebody else that was better, I would say let's go for the other person.
You accepted earlier that he's a sex offender, that a jury found he was a sexual predator. And you're willing to just overlook that and the compulsive lies and the vows to take revenge on people who stood in his way.
But with regards
because you like his policies.
But with regards to what the American people need and what America needs,
Okay.
I think he is the man for the job.
Let me just get some more calls. We've got loads. Cheryl in Paris. Hi, Cheryl.
Hello, good morning.
Are you looking forward to the next 4 years? It's going to be a wild ride.
I don't think the word looking forward is the answer, but I am sort of geared up for fun and games, put it that way.
Would you say you would support, if you were American, would you have voted Trump?
I would have, yes, because at the moment, the way the world is, every country needs, a Western country needs a strong leader.
Yes.
And regardless of what has gone on before, because everybody keeps talking about previously things he's done, forget it. He's the president of the United States. The people's country. The people voted for him in majority.
Yes.
All sorts of people. I am really looking forward to see that he does what he's saying he's doing.
OK, Cheryl, thank you. Bob in Hertfordshire, are you looking forward to it?
I'm not indeed, Jeremy, for one major reason. I think that when Trump takes over in a few hours, that in essence will be the death of NATO.
Yeah, because there's some thought he might pull out of NATO, because he says he's so furious that America pays so much and the rest of us pay so little.
I think that is certainly valid, and I think that the rest of NATO, at least the vast majority of other NATO countries, have let the side down forever and a day because there's been peace. But it's not looking like there's going to be peace forevermore. Now, NATO, despite the fact that many countries in NATO weren't pulling their weight, was a coherent organisation. And, of course, running with the maxim, an attack on one is an attack on any nation, etc. That won't happen again. Not with Trump. He'll go to war when he wants to, and it certainly wouldn't be to support NATO.
He hasn't so far, though. When he was president, one thing he can say is there were no wars under his administration, unlike Biden's administration.
Is that? Do we need to fact check that? Because I've heard people say, "Well, wait a minute, there are."
They were targeted. When it came to Iran, he targeted specific individuals who were a danger to America, but there was no collateral damage like we are seeing in the Middle East and like we're seeing in Ukraine.
All right.
Russia.
Thank you, Bob. Alan in Lancashire. Hi.
Hello.
What do you make of it? We've got 4 years. It's going to be a wild ride.
It certainly is, but I think it's fantastic Donald is back. Stolen elections have consequences, I'm afraid. And I'm referring to the 2020 election. I mean, your show, Jeremy, has totally ridiculed Trump for the last 4 years. I mean, look at the state of the world over the last 4 years. All this woke and net zero nonsense will be put back in the box.
So you think I hear you sort of raging, but you think he won the 2020?
Well, I am raging, Jeremy.
Yeah, but I am
raging.
You think he won the 2020 election?
Absolutely.
On what basis?
Absolutely.
On what basis?
On what basis? I mean, on the night, I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And in all the swing states, they stopped the count. They were putting in thousands and thousands of votes for Biden. And no one ever talks about this. There was election observers kicked out, Republican election observers kicked out. I mean, the vote went on for days and days and days until Biden won it.
Oh,
no one ever
Ben
talks
can
about
answer
it.
this. Ben, there's a classic there. This is, it's how truth depends on who's telling the truth.
So do you think, Alan, that the last election that Trump won, do you think maybe that was rigged too? Maybe if US democracy doesn't work, is as badly broken as you thought it was in 2020, then maybe Kamala Harris rightfully won the election. I don't think that. But it can't be broken when the person you want loses, but fixed when he wins.
Well, you're going back to 2016 when Trump won his first term.
Yeah, no, no, Alan, come on. You've got to pay attention here. Ben is saying, if you think the 2020 election was rigged, why aren't you arguing that the 2024 election was rigged in Trump's favour?
Well, how could it be rigged when he won all 5 swing states, Jeremy?
So did Joe Biden in 2020, but you're saying it's rigged, Alan.
It was rigged because all Fox News and even CNN in the middle of the night was saying that it's looking like Donald Trump's going to win this election.
Why did not a single court case find that it was rigged?
Won't get Alan, thanks so much for watching. It's important to hear what you say. Maria in Jersey, hi.
Hello, good morning.
Where are we on Trump today, Maria?
Well, I give you just on the person, not politics, although I enjoy politics. My opinion, as I heard once, a very high-ranking American said that he is a grifter. All his family, they are all grifters. All the people that he has got in government, they are oligarchs, but they are all grifters, and they will take advantage and get even more rich. And the man, in my opinion, is vulgar, and he has no morals. I'm an old lady. I'm on my way to 90.
Oh, well done, you. But listen, grifter is such a new word. We should explain. Grifter means somebody who...
I know, and I tell you what, I learned the word because of Trump. Because when I heard it in an American program, I thought, oh, grifter. Although I'm not English is not my mother language, I thought, oh, what grifter? I have to go and find out, and that's what I find out.
All right.
It's people who take advantage of situations for their own good. And,
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you, Maria. Grifter, we got grifter. Later.